they really enjoyed that unit. But anyway, she did all of this work, and then she sent the article in. But she was observing it, and then
pretty good math readers, I bet, those kids, those second graders.
Well, my sister Lorraine, she has one awful time of reading a map, and I said to her, Lorraine, I don't know who in the world taught you how to read maps. And she said, well, I don't know if anyone ever did.
That's not.
And I said, well, maybe not. But unit, it took quite a long while to do that, to get it all.
It doesn't just happen, does it?
Climaxed.
Well, this is special.
So, I don't know, I guess that's about all.
Did you ever have any helpers that got more materials? Oh, you got a whole pile here.
This is just my education.
Oh, okay. Your resume.
Oh, and this is just kind of a record of where I taught and the years I taught.
Okay.
Here's a big class. When I had 51, and I asked if they would divide them, That worked out just really nice. I think that's about all I have to share. Oh, I guess this is just when they put me on the research committee for the state.
Oh, Delta Kappa Gamma.
Yeah,
okay.
Delta Gamma. Oh, and we had bicentennial, and we
a time capsule.
And I was brought up by WQV as an organization to WQV stand for. They always said women with queer ideas. But anyway, it was my birthday, and so I was president, so I suggested that we ought to try to do something special. And so then it just bloomed and grew, and we went around town, we gathered up things and built a capsule, and then put all this whole thing is put in that capsule.
Oh my.
And
they open it.
And they'll open it in, well, it won't be my time.
Well, this was 1776. 1976.
That was
budget. And the plan for the we celebrated our bicentennial in 1966, didn't we? What an interesting idea.
Yeah. And so it's out in the park.
Okay.
Area in the park. So I won't be around when it's open, I'm sure, but oh, this is just kind of a summary, I guess, of my life. Where I served in Alpha Chi, and that was our chapter here in Washington County. On the resolution board from MPEA, and but I was reared two brothers and three sisters. And my younger brother is deceased. And I took normal training, graduated in the fall of 1941, and that year, believe it or not, but they raised the state raised the teacher salaries $5. So instead of getting $50, I got $55 a month. And that made $495 for the year's teaching.
That all year.
Mm-hmm. It says it seems pretty meager for the salaries of today, doesn't it?
It does.
I was married in 43, had one daughter, Elaine. After a 3-year period when she was born, then Daytonville called and wanted me to come back. So that's when I was taught on war emergency.
Oh,
Because
okay.
when I went back to Daytonville.
Mhm.
Elaine was born in 1952, and I was home 3 years with her, so then in 1955 was when I was teaching on war emergency. That's when I went back to school. And so today I have my master's plus 30 semester hours. I served the 3rd year on the research committee for Alpha Chi. Was on the resolution board for Mid Prairie Education. All that stuff is just
You've been a hard-working gal for a long time.
work. Yeah, just work. So I think that's probably all. And like I say, I think this here will be
Okay.
easier for you than reading all your notes, but you can maybe tell what I was saying.
Okay,
You want-
all right,
want
thank
that.
you. Did you have special rules in your classroom?
I never made rules, only if they were necessary. I always tried to keep the children focused on doing a good job, a nice job. I sometimes would have to discipline, you know.
Then what did you do?
What did I do? I was never an easy disciplinarian. I figured it has to be harsh enough that they feel it. There. One time, when I had those 51 student kids, one evening I was emptying waste paper baskets, but you had all that stuff to do, you know, before you went home. Clean the chalkboards and empty the waste paper baskets. But anyway, in the process of emptying the waste paper basket, I noticed that there was some notes being passed. Nothing malicious, anything like that, but one of them said, "Do you like this bitch of a teacher?" So the next morning at 9 o'clock, I said, "I'm not going to read to you this morning, but I'd like for everybody just talk about what you like to do after school and what your hobbies are and that type of thing. Let's do that. It'd just be different." And of course, I kind of knew the kids, you know. I kind of knew where it might lie. And anyway, this girl had written this note. Well, I figured she had done it. So anyway, the next day I said, "I'd like everybody to take out their tablet." By everyone taking out their tablet. So everybody took out their tablet. I said, "Now, for everybody that's got a white tablet, just to put it back in your desk. But if you have a yellow tablet, left on your desk." And so then I said, and I'd like to look at your yellow tablets. So I just started down, with the little kids, and I said, you put your tablet away, you put your tablet away. And when I got behind this girl, I could just see her neck, the pulse in her neck and so on. She was really getting nervous when I was across the aisle from her, and I would be coming up her aisle next. And so when I got to her tablet, why, I looked through it, and sure enough, there was a corner where this was torn out of. And on the note it said, "Do you like this bitch of a teacher?" And so I put it down on her tablet, and I said, "This fits here, doesn't it?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, tonight after school, you and I will talk about it." And so I came her after school, and we talked about it. And they didn't have a mother. The older sister, she was running the show of the house, taking care of the family. And she come up, oh, was she hot under the collar. She just ripped into me every one way and another. And she got all through. I let her make her speech. There's just one thing. I'm in charge of this classroom, and it's going to be discipline. And this I will not tolerate. Now, she's going to have to stay in every night after school until 5 o'clock when I leave for 2 weeks. Oh, the sister, she just flew up. It's all right. And they'll say they were or something like that.
What roles did the students have in upkeeping the classroom? Did they not have to help with it because you took care of the water and the coal and the waste paper baskets and the chalkboards?
I never give the children. They were responsible for their desk. They have their desk in order. I didn't want papers hanging out of books, or when I was going to the desk. Sometimes had children do that, but I never thought that was quite the way I wanted
from other parents? You said your husband would help you shovel paths to the restroom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if the weather was real bad, he'd drive me to school and then pick me up. Yeah, he was very good about that. Sometimes when I was in Green Valley, he took me to school on the track because the snow banks were so deep. Now, you wouldn't think too many people would be out, but they get their children there, you know.
When you were in the rural schools, how did other schools compare at the time? Do you have any idea?
I think very much the same because, see, the county superintendents had your curriculums, and that was prepared. We all had the same thing. And the county superintendent had a library, and we could go there and check out books and keep them for a couple weeks and then return them, and that way the books kept circulating.
How were the parents and community members involved with the school? We've talked about picnic day and we've talked about Christmas program. Were they involved any other way?
The picnics and the Christmas program were the main things. And the ball games in the fall, we sometimes go to other rural schools and play baseball, and the parents would help drive and some of the students to the different schools, or other schools would come to our school and we'd have the ball game at our school. And so those were, never did much in the rural school. Well, Daytonville was different. They could play flag football, where they'd have a flag hanging out of their back pocket, you know, and it wasn't tackle, but they could play flag football. And at Tucker, there's never enough of them to want to play football. There was not that many the same size, you know.
Would people participate Christmas program, picnic day, who didn't have children in school?
Oh,
just
yes.
community members?
There's community. Everybody come. Everybody brought the basket, and the food was just, you can't imagine all the food. Sometimes we'd have all along the Daytonville schools, those your tables, you know, for children, you could use displays on or recitation in a row, and it'd all be covered with food.
What did the county superintendent play? He said he had his curriculum and had the library.
They held county meetings. In Iowa County, you had to go to Marengo, and Washington County had to go to the courthouse. They were in the courthouse. And they would come visit you.
How often did you see them?
Well, not often. Daytonville was kind of a center when they gave 7th and 8th grade tests. Daytonville is kind of a center school where the rural schools that we got around would come to Daytonville and the 7th and 8th grade write tests. Well, their other kids wouldn't be coming on those days. They'd be home.
Okay.
But I would administer the tests for the county superintendent. He'd bring them like the day before, and then he'd pick them up the next day afterward.
You said you got paid $55 a month. How did you feel about that pay? Was
wonderful. After all, what is $5 more? That make $45 more in 9 months, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Did you furnish extra supplies?
Sometimes. Not. I probably maybe did a little more at Tucker than what I did at Daytonville, because at Daytonville we had our Christmas program, and then we always had food afterward. We sold sandwiches and pie and this, that, and the other thing, and all the proceeds that we got went for those kind of supplies.
What's the worst memory you have teaching in a rural school?
Getting poison ivy. I never have any I don't have any bad memories of teaching. I really enjoyed it.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part? Getting everything in that you felt you needed to do, because you had so many different subjects that you had to teach, but you did alternate the days on some of those subjects, like health and hygiene. That would be maybe twice a week, one semester, and maybe something else that you were teaching would be the 3 days a week, and then the next semester you change those in 2 or 3 days. And but your reading, your math, and those were daily, every day. And the little fellows, they would have it twice a day, in the morning and afternoon.
What lessons from country schools could we benefit from today? What lessons, or just the things that happened, the way you did things, could we learn from today to make our schools better?
Well, teachers have a different attitude than they did when I was teaching. Their day starts, if they get to school by 8:15, and by 3:30 they're gone, in most cases today. And what they do, they just do during the day, I think. I don't know. I often wondered, when I was teaching out at Daytonville and had those 51 students, what in the world does a teacher do in Wellman when she just got 1 grade? That was the question that I often asked myself. But when I got into 2nd grade, I found out it was just as full as when I was teaching all grades. Expand. Just expand. It's just like this project on the teaching map study skills. You couldn't take all the grades, but when you were in 2nd grade and I had you just expand it to make it complete, to teach the entire unit, so it makes it complete from compasses and everything. What takes quite a long while.
When you started teaching when you were in World War II, how did you deal with that with your children?
Well, my problem, I didn't have any problem at Tucker. I taught there 2 years. And I didn't have any problem at Greene Valley, because at Tucker, most all of the kids that were there were Mennonites. Not all, but there wasn't any friction, to speak of. But when I got over to Daytonville, where I had more discipline from the outside, because this one mother, she and all she really right back to me, taking the side of the COs, They won't go and fight. My son's over there fighting. And I said, well, now just a minute. I said, do you know I have 2 brothers? I have one brother, my older brother, that is in the Air Force. And he's flying from England over the war zone every day. And I said, it may someday happen that he'll be shot down. And he was shot down. But it so happened that when they were shot down, the plane came down and they got away from the plane and they went out and took a bunch of brush and pulled it up over them. And the Nazis come looking for them, all around them, talking, well, where could they have gone? Where could they be? You know. And then they finally left. But they never found them under that brush pile. And that's where they were hidden. And so then that night, when it was dark, they would try to walk and get back to Germany on the other side. And they found the railroad track. So they walked that railroad track. And that's how they got back in on the other side. And they were shot. But then everybody survived. Everybody just scattered and tried to find a place to hide. My uncle, he was in the Navy. And that's what I told her, you know. I said, I have two brothers. And I love my brothers just as much as you love your son. And we're out fighting for the freedom of our country. And I can't help these others. I can't force them to do something just because I'd be angry at them. I can't be angry at them. These children are just doing what they are taught to do. You know. And then he came to the schoolhouse, kids, because they had to go out the come over here or down here, you know, threaten them, you know, with stuff. I any night out there and until you know, I was protecting the COs, you know. That was so the war emergency time wasn't the most teaching on emergency time, you know, because they were short of teachers, and they wanted me to come back, and I told them my certificate is hard, but they said we'll go and see if we can't make an arrangement like that. So then I got a war emergency certificate. And I taught on that then, and I think about 3 years. But I started going back to school, and I might as well go to work and get a degree rather than just thought I would just go and take something, you know, to get 2 hours credit or 3 hours credit. But I thought, well, if you're going to be in the profession, you might as well just buckle down and take what you got to do. Take it as it comes, I guess.
Anything else you'd like us to know
Oh,
with all your wisdom?